Please like and subscribe. Let's grow NAIA basketball. Thank you. Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAIA basketball one podcast at a time. Hey, Cascade Hoops Talk. Wow, what a Wednesday night. There's no way you could have kept up with all those games. There was just one after the other, but we're going to catch you up on what happened in the top 25. We're going to catch you up on what happened in all the conferences. And also we're going to take a couple minutes to talk to Chase Teichmann, Florida College Falcons head men's basketball coach, talk about the win over Florida National that he had night before last. So why don't we just kick it off? We have a lot to go through, and we're going to start in the Crossroads League. Grace, number one in the country. They defeated Huntington. Huntington had been on a roll. I tell you what, Grace is a tough place to play. It was all Gibbs brothers tonight. Jacob Gibbs, 19 points, 4 rebounds, and Cade Gibbs, 19 points, 5 rebounds. They go to 16-0, and they're going to play. They're going to have to go up to Mishawaka, and they're going to play Bethel on Saturday. Mark your calendar. Number 9, Indiana Wesleyan. They kept pace. They beat their crosstown rival 104-72. That's Taylor. Nathan Childress, 18 points. Javen Buchanan, 18 points. And Griffin Cleaver said, I got one more than you. I got 19 and 5 rebounds. They go to 14-2, and they're going to host Mount Vernon Nazarene on Saturday. The rest of the games in the Crossroads, let's take a look. Spring Arbor got back on the W side of the board. St. Francis, good win at Mount Vernon. Marion beat Bethel. That was a really good win for the Marion Knights. And, of course, Grace and Indiana Wesleyan won. Okay, so in the Crossroads, obviously, number 1, Grace. They're 6-0. Indiana Wesleyan is a game back. Bethel is a game back from that. And then Marion and Huntington and St. Francis and Spring Arbor are all a game back from that. Still a lot of basketball to play. In the KCAC tonight, tons of action. Number 11, Southwestern. They defeated Bethany 97-60. Jarvis Jennings, 15.7 rebounds. Kevin Clark, 29 points, 3 rebounds. Southwestern goes to 12-2, and they will play Ottawa on Saturday. Elsewhere in the KCAC, number 8, Oklahoma Wesleyan. They defeated Evangel 85-56. DJ Talton Jr., 19 points, 5 assists. And Jaden Litsky, 16 points, 5 rebounds. They're at 14-1, and they're going to play Bethel on Saturday. In the rest of the KCAC, Ottawa defeated St. Mary. Kansas Wesleyan, that was a big win. Kansas Wesleyan defeated York. Sorry about that. I was on a roll too. Kansas Wesleyan defeated York. Friends beat Avila. Tabor won. That was a good win for them over McPherson. And then Bethel won. So let's look at the standings. That's really what you want to see, isn't it? So it's a little big. Oklahoma Wesleyan is 8-1. Kansas Wesleyan is 8-1. Southwestern is back. What is that? A game and a half at 8-2, and then McPherson at 6-3. Ottawa's right behind there. In the Great Plains, Northwestern defeated Briarcliff 92-77. Zach LaFave, 17 points, 7 rebounds. Alex Van Kalsbeek, 18 points, 3 rebounds. They're at 13-3, and they're going to host Midland on Saturday. Big game. Morningside was at the Corn Palace taking on Dakota Wesley, and they got beat 90-86. Honestly, it looked like Morningside had the game kind of wrapped up, but really got to give credit to Dakota Wesleyan. They really got an emotional burst in the, I don't know, by the 8-minute mark or something, and they really came on and they defeated number 17 Morningside. Morningside goes to 11-4, and they're going to play Doane on Saturday. The rest of the GPAC, Hastings, they continue to win. They beat Mount Marty. Concordia beat Doane. Dort beat Jamestown. That was a game that was tied at halftime. So the GPAC standings. Hastings continues to set the pace. Northwestern and Morningside are one game back. Concordia is another half game back of them. And Dort's another half game back of them. So it's starting to bunch up at the top. It's this is the time of year when things start to settle in. Over in the WAC tonight, Lords beat Clary 77-54. Joey Hollifield 12 points, 5 rebounds, and Jackie Harris 20 points, 6 rebounds. Lords goes to 12-1, and they're going to play Rochester on Saturday. Big game tonight, 2 unranked teams, but a big game. Madonna defeated Lawrence Tech 82-81. Cornerstone was victorious tonight, as was Aquinas and Siena Heights, and of course Indiana Tech. They continue to keep pace there in the WAC. So let's take a look at the standings. Lords is at 8-1. Madonna is at 8-1. Indiana Tech is at 8-1. And then Rochester and Aquinas, they're both, 2 games back. Turning into a tight race there. It's NAIA basketball. They're all going to be good races. In the southern states, highly anticipated game. Mobile went to Life. 2 really great teams. Mobile came out ahead in this one. They beat Life 89-83. Ezra McKenna has been playing amazing basketball for Mobile. 36 points, 11 rebounds. And then Joshua Williams, 17 points, 2 rebounds. Mobile, they go to 13-3. And on Friday, they're going to play Southeastern Baptist. Again, let's look at the rest of the league. Middle Georgia State won. Bruton Parker won. And then Stillman beat Dalton State. Taking a quick look at the standings. Tennessee Southern continues to set the pace. 2 games up on Mobile and Life. And then another, one game back is Stillman and then William Crary. Chicagoland, number 19, Olivet Nazarene. They beat Holy Cross 77-63. Caleb Schweringen, good game tonight for him tonight. 17 points, 3 rebounds. Landon Flederher, 15 points, 3 rebounds. They're at 12-3, and they're going to play Governor State. They have to travel to Governor State on Saturday. Also in the Chicagoland, Roosevelt, they kept pace. They're putting the pressure on Olivet. 84-71, they beat St. Ambrose. Maurice Commander, say it every time, he gets my vote, best name in the NAI. Julio Montez, 22 points, 4 rebounds. Commander had 24 points and 4 assists. Roosevelt is 13-2, and they're going to host St. Francis Saturday. Take a quick look at the rest of the Chicagoland. St. Xavier beat South Bend. Really good win for St. Xavier. St. Francis beat Governor State. Calumet won. And then Indiana Northwest beat Judson. The standings, that's what's important. What does all this mess mean? So Roosevelt now stays perfect in conference. Olivet and IU South Bend. See, St. Xavier beat them tonight. That was huge for St. Xavier. Kind of keeps them in the race. And then Indiana Northwest as well. That conference is starting to tighten up as well. Down in the Sun Conference, big game in Miami Gardens, the Battle of Miami Gardens. Florida Memorial edges St. Thomas 63-62 at St. Thomas. Jaden Geis, 12 points. Latavius Mitchell, 15 points, 11 rebounds. Florida Memorial goes to 13-2, and they're going to play Coastal Georgia on Saturday. The rest of the Sun Conference, that's too big. Anyway, Kaiser was victorious. Ave Maria, look at these games, 2 overtime games. Ave Maria beat Warner in overtime. Weber beat Coastal Georgia. Weber's having a pretty good year. We're going to try to get that coach on. And then, of course, Florida Memorial beat St. Thomas. So the standings, really not much to it. They've only played a couple of games, but here's the thing. St. Thomas is 0-2 and Southeastern is 0-2. That's kind of crazy, huh? Yeah. That yeah. The conferences this year are so competitive all across the country. Okay, there's a few teams that or a few conferences don't have anybody in the top 25. Let's just go through them real quick. This is the AAC, the Appalachian Conference. Bryan won, Bluefield won, Johnson beat Milligan. I'm getting to the good one. Reinhardt beat Truett McConnell, Montreat won, and Pikeville beat Union in overtime at Pikeville. Really high energy game, high quality game, really well played. Two very athletic teams. That Pikeville has really kept the pressure on Union. And tonight was Union's chance to kind of catch up with them, but they couldn't. So Pikeville is at 12-2. Union now goes to 10-3. Columbia International is at 9-3. This is kind of where the race is right here. You know, the Union's kind of had their way down in that conference for a few years, but they haven't had Pikeville in there, so it might get interesting. In the heart of America, Baker beat Graceland. That was a very important win for Baker. That was in overtime. Mid-American Nazarene wins. They beat Benedictine. They'll keep pace in conference. Central Methodist, they're having a great year. They beat William Penn. And then Mount Mercy won, and Missouri Valley, as well as Park. So let's look at the standings. So Baker is leading the conference right now by one game over Central Methodist and Graceland. That's why that win by Baker over Graceland, that was a big win. And Mid-America, they had to win to keep pace. Pretty much a 4-team race right here. Keep an eye on that. Hey, we talked to Chase Teichmann. I know I've had him on a couple of times, but I watched that Florida national game and I started asking him some questions about it. I said, well, why don't you just come on after the game, or why don't we just record an interview? And anyway, we talked to him, and let's listen to it. Cascade Hoops Talk, this is Billy D. Hey, I got Chase Teichmann. He's the head men's basketball coach, Florida College Falcons. Big win last night against Florida National. Welcome, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm going to go ahead and apologize to everybody for having to listen to me for, I think, the third time this year. So let's just go ahead and get that out of the way.
Okay, thank you for being on. We'll talk later. The first thing, you and I talked just a little bit, Florida National is a team that I really hadn't spent a lot of time following. Like I told you, there's so many teams in the country, but they are very athletic. They're long and they're talented. Just talk about that team.
Yeah, man, one of the most interesting teams in the country. I mean, I've heard you have other coaches on in Florida and that have played them, and everybody says the same thing because it's true. You do know what you're going to get, but you also just kind of don't know what you're going to get from them because they are very capable. They don't have the greatest record in the world, but some really good wins this year, some really close losses to some good teams. They've played a really tough schedule.
Yeah.
Pretty much, the Sun Conference up and down they played. Obviously now they've played us, and they played like Philander Smith, and they played some D2s. So they're battle tested. They play really hard, like you said. They're athletic. They can create their own shot. They got multiple guys that can create their own shot. So teams like that are always concerning because they're going to keep fighting. And if it's their night and they can create their own shot, and you're not playing your best, then they can always get you. And so we were lucky to survive last night, and we're going to go down there in 10 days. And if we don't play better, they're gonna beat our tails probably.
Yeah, every coach says that's a tough place to play.
Yeah, I haven't been down there since it was 6 years ago. I was the assistant. It's the only time I ever went down there, and we lost that game a long time ago. And so, I guess I've never won there, so I've never went down there as a head coach. So we'll see how it goes. But I actually am looking forward to the test. We need all the tests we can get.
Coach, I thought the performance of Brian Bion last night, 5 for 9 from 3, but more importantly, it seemed like his threes came every time you needed a score. Talk about his performance last night off the bench.
Yeah, you said it. I felt like they were super timely, especially that last one, up by one with whatever it was, a minute or so left to make it a 2-possession game. He's a shooter, man. He's a scorer. He's a guy that, since he is coming off the bench right now, he's that microwave type guy that comes in and can light it up. And last night in a game where not a lot of guys had a groove and a rhythm, like you said, he bailed us out of some moments of some droughts. And, it's important to have guys like that. And, proud of him last night. And he's a huge part of why we won that game. And we're going to need that from him going forward. He's the same guy that hit the game winner early in the year against Sagu.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a guy that, had a lot of production at the junior college level before he got here. And then early on, he had a lot of things to learn just because it was so different from where he'd been before. And it was kind of a slow start. And then he's really, really picked it up lately, and excited about him the rest of the way, and proud of him for where he's gotten to.
I listened to you last night in the post game. I know you were a little disappointed with your overall team performance. What were the areas that you were concerned about last night?
I just felt like offensively it didn't look good. It didn't look natural for us. I felt like we never got in a real groove. It's funny, we didn't have a ton of turnovers. We didn't shoot it well, but it wasn't. I mean, we've had worse shooting nights than we had last night too. So it was kind of just a strange game, and there's all the excuses and cliches in the world you can make. First game back after 20 days off, blah blah blah. But I told our staff, I was like, guys, we got to stop trying to come up with narratives and just look in the mirror and just think this might just be who we are. So as soon as we get off this call, I'm gonna rewatch the game again and see if we can figure out how to improve. Because it just didn't feel like a Florida College team last night, in my opinion. Where we want to be.
You mentioned turnovers, and when I pulled up the stats, I was expecting to see you had a lot of turnovers. I don't know why. It just felt like you turned, maybe it was just some key times you turned it over, but you only had 12, and it surprised me a little bit. Did you kind of have that same feeling when the game was over?
Yeah, I expected a high turnover game, with it being the first one back and because of the way they play. But at halftime we only had 3, so I think that's part of the reason why me and you both feel that way, is because we did have 9. We did have 9 in the second half, so that's a lot. And like you said, we had the jump ball late, and that I don't think that's a turnover, but they got possession from that, right. And then we did have the turnover, the shot clock violation with about a minute left. So yes, key turnovers late that made it feel that way. But in general, just kind of a sloppy game, even if it maybe didn't show that way on the stat sheet.
So you're 14-4. You have Crowley's Ridge on Friday. You're going to play back-to-back, and then you play College Idaho on Saturday. Do you guys play much back-to-back?
Ozarks, not Idaho.
Jeez. Sorry about that.
Please, not Idaho.
Anyway,
yeah.
College, I apologize. College of the Ozark. They're gonna come there to Florida College. Do you play much back-to-back?
We've done that a lot this year. Part of it being in the situation we're in our conference is, all these teams being so spread out. When we do go and play, one of them, it's best to get 2. So we set up these conference classics, and all of these schools that are coming this weekend, they're going to all get 2 games at least. So College of the Ozarks is actually playing Florida National today at our place, and then this weekend they'll play us and Voorhees. So they're going to get 3 games out of this trip. And we like to do that anyway. We went up to the Battle of the Beach the last 2 years. Last year played 3 games in a row. This year, 2 in a row back-to-back. We went up to the Abe Lemons Classic, if you remember, in early November and played 3 games back-to-back-to-back. So that's not new or rare for us. It's just kind of something we've had to do. And then, our conference tournament is played that way, back-to-back-to-back. And then the opening rounds of the national tournament is back-to-back. So, it works for us logistically, and I think it's also good for our team to learn how to do that and our staff to learn how to do that, because you're going to need to do that when it's postseason play, which is the most important time.
Well, you're going to be back in action on Friday against Crowley's Ridge and then College of the Ozarks. What do the Falcons need to do to finish strong here? You've got 10 games left. What do you need to do to finish strong? Put yourself in a good position going into postseason.
I think we just need to improve on every facet of what we're doing. I don't think I honestly just don't feel like we're looking the way we need to, kind of on any specific area. I don't think we're kind of crushing it in any area. We talked as a team about kind of our last 5-6 games, and even though we've come out as the victor, in most of them, we haven't really felt great about it. And so, some games our defense is slipping, some games our offense is slipping, some games we're high turnover, some games we feel like we're getting out hustled. So honestly, we just need to chip away at each one of those things and get better each time, and not worry about what the scoreboard says. If we're, whatever we go in these last 10 games, 4-6, 5-5, 8-2, whatever the case may be, I'm more concerned about the process and how we look getting to those points. And all that stuff is way easier said than done. I mean, we really need to look in the mirror coaches included, and see what we can do to get better, because we're going to need to get a whole lot better if we want to accomplish the goals that we have in mind.
Coach, I have one more question. It's going to be a really dumb question. Last night, the game was all like a one possession game. I'm thinking there's like 5 or 6 minutes left, and Florida National was rolling the ball in, and I didn't understand that strategy. I know it's a really well coached team, so it's not like they were just didn't know what they were doing. But why do you think they were doing that in a tight game like that, preserving time with 5 minutes?
Was it late? Were they doing that? I remember them doing that in the first half. With under a minute left, I remember them doing that. Did they also do it late?
Yeah, there was like around 5 or 7. I thought, it wasn't like they were trying to catch up. It was one possession game, and that was one of the reasons that I got a hold of you. This, I started thinking I got to ask Coach Teichmann why do you think they were rolling the ball? Because I always think that's a risk, and they were rolling it almost all the way to half court.
They did it multiple times.
Yeah. You have to look at the film. Okay. Obviously, you can't answer the question. You're no help.
I am no help. Apparently, I'm not doing anything over there.
I have to get Coach Kemp stopped. Well, it stops until you picks it up. That's the rule.
No, I'm saying, it was it was not on a live play where the clock was running. It was
the clock was stopped. They'd roll it in. I guess I'm gonna have to get Coach Kemp back on. Maybe he knows more than you do.
Oh, he definitely knows more than me. They should have beat us a couple weeks ago, but
it's okay.
I mean, I guess they just wanted more possessions.
Yeah, maybe they just wanted to. Exactly.
The game was going their way. The longer it went on, I mean, I don't blame them because they were beating us in the second half.
That's probably it. They were probably trying to maximize possessions. They figured if they could, okay, that makes sense. I told you it was going to be a dumb question.
No. Apparently, it was a dumb answer from the bad coach that wasn't watching the game.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you coming on. You've got a big weekend coming up. And then you got to go over to Florida National. And then I think right after that, you got Warner. So, man, you got your work cut out for you, don't you?
We do. So it'll be interesting to see how we look. And I'm excited I'm always excited to see us play and see what version of us we're going to get.
You're always surprised when they come out, huh?
That's right. I am.
Well, Coach, thanks a lot for being on the show. That's Coach Chase Teichmann. He's the head men's basketball coach, Florida College. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Billy.
Hey, thank you so much to Coach Teichmann and to the Florida College Falcons. Always enjoyed talking to him. I kind of poked a little fun at him. I'm still a little bit curious why you would roll the ball in with 5-6 minutes to go in a close game. But as I said, I know for a fact that Florida National is a really well-coached team, so there was a reason to it. I was just trying to figure out what it was. Well, we'll be back, tomorrow you need to join us. If all things work out right and the man doesn't forget, we should have Scott Moore on tomorrow. Not Scott Moore, head men's basketball coach, Grace Lancers. We should have him on tomorrow. Talk about the 16-0 Lancers to this point. You got to tune in for that. Thank you very much, and I appreciate everybody who listens. Don't forget to get out and support your local NAIA teams, because NAIA basketball
Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe.
Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.